Hey guys, and welcome to my new video, 75 Hard Musician Edition. Okay, so you've heard of 75 Hard, the crazy one, all in the name of mental toughness, a ridiculous amount of water, so much so that you probably spend more time running to or in the bathroom than doing anything else, because you have to drink a ridiculous amount of literage of water. Literage, I don't think that's a word, but never mind. You also have to do two 45-minute workouts, one outdoors, even if it's thundering and lightning. Anyway, it's a lot of things that you've got to do, and they're very extreme. So if you go from doing nothing, it's almost impossible to sustain. It's maybe okay if you've already been doing some regular things before that and you just want to improve, but it's such a big step doing 75 hard, which is why some people have kind of changed it and done things like 75 soft and stuff like that. But I thought, why not do 75 music edition? So I've seen somebody else online do this, which is where I got the inspiration from, and I've kind of tailored it a little bit to be realistic, because again, we've got to bear in mind that with the rules that I'm about to tell you about, I'm pretty much going from nothing with them, and I'll tell you why in a moment. I also want to make sure that these rules are challenging and that there's a purpose behind them, and not just doing them for the sake of doing them and saying, woohoo, I did my own self-created 75 Hard Musician Edition. The other bonus is, I'm hoping as we're about to approach the school summer holidays, that we're going to seriously cut down on screen time, because there is a big danger of that skyrocketing, and we all know that although it's good to sometimes sit down and relax and watch our favourite show. That was the wrong one, hang on. I can't even play it. Hawaii 5-0. That's the thing to watch at the moment anyway. Right, let's get into the rules. Rule number 1. 2 30-minute practices a day. Now that might not sound like a lot or like much of a challenge, but I'll be honest with you guys. I don't really practice, okay? The majority of the things that I do are either sight readable, or maybe I'll do a 5-10 minute practice on it just to sort out tricky corners. But otherwise I don't practice on a regular basis, which is such a shame, because in the past, obviously, when I was younger, I'd done either 1 or 2 hours practice an evening, or even up to 8 hours a day when I was at music college. And even into my kind of mid-20s, I was doing 2 or 3 hours a day and studying for things, which is why I need a challenge to have something to aim for, so that I'm not just practicing for the sake of it. So to me, an hour's practice a day for 75 days in a row is quite a lot. So what I've decided to do is to give myself a challenge, and a purpose for doing this practice is I'm going to do a piano recital in October. That's the soonest that I'd be able to do it, and is more than 75 days away. But this 75 day period is going to give me a really good grounding, and basically, hopefully, 75 hours worth of practice. And I can't remember the last time that I did that much practice for a recital. So normally what would happen when I do a recital, because I don't have a lot of time, or like a lot of us do, claim not to, but realise that we've spent 3 hours on screen time a day, I would normally choose music for a recital which I've either done before and I haven't done for a long time, so nobody's heard me play it, or it's almost sight readable but just takes a couple of hours work to get it up to performance level. So I've never really challenged myself. Occasionally I'll put in one brand new piece that I've never played before that's a bit of a challenge, but that's usually it. So this time, to make sure that I get this practice done over these 75 days, I've decided that the entire programme is going to be of music that I've either never played before, or have purchased and looked at it and thought, nah, way too hard, or I've tried learning and have given up on at some point. So we're going to look later into what I'm going to do for that recital. But thinking about the 2 practice sessions, 2 30-minute practice sessions, one of them is going to be a technique-based session. So I'm going to look at the pieces that I've chosen for the recital and I'm going to look at the technical difficulties within those, and then I'm going to choose studies and exercises and things like that that are going to help me improve those parts of the pieces. And as we go through the 75 days and I show you some of my practice time, you'll see how and why it's good to do those types of things. So time for rule number 2. Now rule number 2 is going to be 30 minutes a day of listening to music that I wouldn't ordinarily listen to. So I'm going to stick with the classical genre, and I'm going to base it upon trying to listen to things that aren't my instrument to try and broaden my musical horizon. The downside to that is that I play every brass instrument. I've been a violinist, I'm a pianist and an organist, and I sing. So it kind of limits me largely to woodwind. And no offence, woodwinders, but it's not my favourite family on the planet. But hey, maybe this 75 days will help me grow some more appreciation for the family of wood. So the third rule is going to be reading 10 pages a day of a book that is relevant to music, to my learning, whatever that might be, that's something that's non-fiction. So what I've chosen to start with this time is a book about Beethoven called The Man Revealed. And now this is written by John Suchet, who also wrote a similar book about Mozart, and it was fascinating. And I learned so much. I mean, I know a lot about Mozart, but I learned a lot from reading his book. Unfortunately, because of my memory being so terrible, I can't remember any of it. So what I'm going to do in the weekly videos is I'm going to highlight the passages that I find interesting, and I'm going to tell you about these facts that if I haven't heard them about Beethoven and you've not read this book, the chances are is you won't have heard them anyway. So hopefully together we can learn some new things about some of our great heroes. Rule number 4 is an active wellness session. This can be anything. There's no time limit, no minimum, no maximum, whatever it is. So it's basically something that's just going to take us away from the screens, something that's active, gets us moving, which, as we know, is good for the brain. And if the brain's good, so is the practice. And rule number 5 is, now this is taken from 75 Hard, but obviously I've minimized it somewhat. And because my water intake is generally pretty rubbish and usually it involves drinking lots of energy drinks, I'm going to challenge myself over 75 days to drink 1 litre of water a day, which compared to 75 Hard doesn't sound like a lot, but I can't remember the last day I drank the last day that I drank just 1 litre of water. I'm also going to try to do better with my diet. I'm going to aim to try and get my 5 a day in as well, which again I'm pretty terrible at a lot of the time, because being busy running about, you end up just buying rubbish or kind of pre-packaged things a lot. So that again is something that I'm going to work on. Now obviously, as this is the summer holidays, I might actually also go on holiday, so I'm yet to decide whether I just suspend the 75 days for the period of time that I go on holiday, or do I just keep going with all the rules barring the practice one, because obviously if I go away on holiday I can't practice. So I'll decide about that and let you know. So that's it. That's my 5 rules. 2 times 30 minutes practice, 30 minutes a day listening to music that I wouldn't ordinarily listen to in the classical genre, active wellness, 1 litre of water a day, and a healthier lifestyle. And obviously I could do that whilst reading my book. Perhaps I could go on a nice walk and read the book in the forest and listen to the birds, as Beethoven did, which is where he got his inspiration for a lot of his music. Am I nervous about doing this challenge? A little bit. Only because I know that I always start these things off really enthusiastically and I do great for the first week, 2 weeks. And then if I just get to the end of one day and think, I'll do that later, then I end up not doing it and I mess that day up, then I end up just stopping and quitting everything. So I'm really going to try and do that this time and make a series of videos throughout the weeks of doing this. And I'm not going to start publishing them until I've got to the end of however long I manage to do this, rather than feeling pressure that I've already published a couple of videos and that I need to get the next one done. So let's see how it goes. So for my program, I'm going to do a Mozart Variations, which I've never played before. I'm looking at buying the music for a theme and variations by a female composer called Rebecca Clark. Hasn't written much music for piano, but she's a beautiful composer, and I'm really excited that I found this new piece. So that's great. That's going to motivate me to practice, being excited about learning something new. I'm also going to do an arrangement by Jared Radnick of Bohemian Rhapsody, but I need something else, just a short 5-minute piece something that's not really obvious because it needs to be something that I've not played before, but perhaps in the comments you could give me suggestions of pieces of music for piano that are of no more than 5 minutes in length that I can have a look through, and then in future videos I can tell you which ones I've picked. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Wish me luck. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, put a comment in below about your piece suggestion for my program, and let's do this.